Three, two, one.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter. I hope you're all having a great week so far. So, ironically enough, I'm recording this on March 2nd, so Wednesday night. To the day, literally 3 years to the day, I watched a Madea family funeral. This was back in 2019. And I said on that review that in under 3 years, Tyler Perry would be back in the wig, back in the dress, that the MCU, the Madea Cinematic Universe, would continue. even though Tyler Perry said that a Madea family funeral was going to be his last film. So I'm going to step away from the mic for a second, and I'm going to play you a clip from that review from that review of Boo, a Madea Halloween, or a Madea family funeral. Pardon me. So go ahead and listen to that clip, and I'll be right back.
It's Selma. You have multiple black men and women who are actually putting in fucking work to put out good cinema or TV shows, or sometimes fucking both, and you jump on Tyler Perry's bandwagon, and you're like, oh, this is the hill I'm gonna fucking die on, defending Tyler Perry. Fuck Tyler Perry. I hope I get the no. So I'm done, man. Damn. I am so done with these fucking movies, and you know what? I hope, I cannot express enough. I pray to God that Tyler Perry makes another Madea movie, because I would love to interview. Because dude, he'll come back to this in 3 years.
See, exactly. I called that shit 3 years ago. 3 fucking years ago. And here we are with another fucking Madea movie. A Madea, what's this called? A Madea Homecoming. Is written and directed by Zack Snyder. I'm kidding, because why would Tyler Perry let anyone else write his shit? Written, produced, directed by Tyler Perry. And I'm just gonna be very blunt with y'all, because I try to always keep it real, as it were. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm just tired. I'm so tired of these fucking movies. Like, they're just a blight, it feels like, on cinema. I've talked about Tyler Perry before. I believe our first Madea review was Boo, a Madea Halloween, and Colin Scott and myself, shout out to Colin Scott, love you guys, we all unanimously didn't like the film. And I've told my story of Madea before. I think Diary of a Mad Black Woman it's fine. There's actually some jokes in there, even though I can't think of any right now, but there are actually some moments that make me laugh in that movie. But the thing is, we weren't wise to the con at that point. You know what I mean? Because, let's call it what it is. These Madea films have just been relentless in as far as, if you are a black woman, you are abused. It is just a matter of how you're abused. Anything that happens has to go through your man. Your man will abuse you, not just verbally, but physically, and then you'll go back to him. I always point out how Helen in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, her dark-skinned, evil, bald husband, throws her shit out on the fucking lawn and moves his mistress into their house. And she ends up going back to him anyway, until Madea basically drags her out of the fucking house. It's like, oh my god. In what's that one movie? Nobody's Fool. That's the one with Whoopi Goldberg. Which, great job, Whoopi. But in Nobody's Fool, that was the main character, Danica, I believe. She breaks off this relationship with this dude that runs this coffee shop, or is in charge of this coffee shop, who happens to be an ex-con, because of course he is. It's a Tyler Perry movie. But she throws away this potential relationship with him to go ahead and seek out this guy she's been talking to online, who makes every excuse in the book for why to not FaceTime her, so that he can actually see, or so that he can actually show her what he looks like. It's such a weird dynamic that Tyler Perry has with his audience, and how, let's just call it what it is. Yes, Tyler Perry is inspirational from the hustle aspect. Yes, he was homeless, living on the streets of New Orleans, and he developed, Madea, and, back in 1999 was the first time he played Madea in a play, and has built this incredible empire for himself, Tyler Perry Studios. But here's the thing, y'all, and I think that's the thing about him, or one of the things about him that really pisses me off the most, is that people just stop at his story. It's just about the hustle for some people. Like, well, how can you hate a director who dragged himself up, built this empire for themselves? Very easily, because as I have constantly talked about in regards to his films, and just really in general, we have Black directors working now. You've got your Queen Ava's, you've got Regina King. I'd like to point out that Regina King's directed one fucking film in One Night in Miami, and she's already shown more growth as a director than Tyler Perry has in over 20 films. I would just like to point that out. But you look at Tyler Perry, and yes, again, the hustle aspect, absolutely inspired. But you don't get points for just getting there. You don't get points for just showing up at your job. You actually have to execute. And the biggest issue with Tyler Perry is that he has no incentive to try more, because his audience is very similar to WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment fans, where, look, Vince McMahon, and if you're not a wrestling fan, it's a quick Google search if you're not aware, but Vince McMahon has been the laziest by far that he's ever been when he's been in charge of that company. The storylines are very bland. The same wrestlers are having the same matches, are at the top of the card. But WWE is making the most money they've ever made in the history of their business. So what incentive does he have to actually change? And the answer is none. And it's the same thing with Tyler Perry fans. Tyler Perry fans will defend this motherfucker to the ends of the earth. I can talk about how incredibly problematic Madea is, and how, God himself, his or herself, is treated like a fucking genie. Like, oh man, I'm struggling. I'm not gonna do any work. Help me, Jesus. And people just pray to God, and next day everything is fine. And you just go, fuck, this is all so terrible. Why does this keep happening? But as I just mentioned, at the end of the day, people will defend his shit no matter what. So, getting into the plot of this movie, Madea is here being loud and black and obnoxious. The movie opens up with Mr. Brown, who, I'd like to say fuck Mr. Brown, by the way. He's just an absolute fucking moron. I don't understand why people like the Mr. Brown character, but they do. But again, I don't understand why people like Madea in general. But anyways, Mr. Brown, movie starts off, he goes ahead and is trying to make a fire because his what's his name? His nephew, I guess, Tim, would be played by Brandon Black, which on the nose. But but Tim is graduating from college, and so everyone's gathering at Medea's to go ahead and celebrate his graduation. And Mr. Brown, he might as well have kicked the barbecue pit into a fucking pool filled with gasoline, because he's just torching. He is soaking, damn near marinating this fucking grill in gasoline. And Joe, played by Tyler Perry, also, shitty makeup job per usual of Joe, is just looking out like Madea, like, oh, he's gonna burn the house down. He's gonna light himself up. And there's no reason any human being would think you would need that much fucking gasoline for fucking barbecue. It's so fucking frustrating. It just leads to a dumb gag of Mr. Brown lighting himself on fire. And here's the thing. You could pay off that gag and at least have Mr. Brown, like, on a crutch, or, half his face is, bandaged up because, the flames and all that shit. Nothing. Not a bandage, not a scar. The next scene, he is completely fine. And I'm just sitting here going, oh my fucking god. This world might as well not exist. It doesn't make sense. Not a thing makes sense in this movie. But, okay, sorry, I'm getting off track. So, Mr. Brown does that bullshit. And so, we were introduced to Tim, as I mentioned, Brandon Black. He ends up showing up at Medea's house with his friend, and I put friend in quotes, Davi, who's played by Aisha Blacker. And the film goes ahead, is very much inferring or implying, hey, Tim and Davi are gay lovers. And even Tim is like, okay, man, like, thanks for having my back. Thanks for being my bro. And they're like hugging each other. And you're kind of going, oh, wow, Tyler Perry's gonna, have a gay couple in this movie. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all, this is on me. This part is on me because I actually thought that Tyler Perry would actually have the guts to show a good gay couple. Just a gay couple, maybe going through some struggles as far as like the whole, like some members of the family not agreeing with Tim's lifestyle. That's where I thought they were gonna go. And again, any normal writer, any writer with some fucking talent would be able to take that thread and develop it over a film that's just under 2 hours. But this is Tyler Perry we're talking about. And I'll get back to that relationship in just a moment. But this is what every Tyler Perry film is. It's the family that prays. It's I can do bad all by myself. It's acrimony. It's just the same dramatic bullshit that it's maddening. It is fucking maddening. And the thing about the movie is that it plays the Tim Davi thing very much like a joke, because Davi is telling Tim, hey man, you need to come out, be proud of who you are. And Davi really is the one convincing him to come out. Tim has this moment where he, comes out to the family. He's like, look y'all, like, I'm gay. And to give Tyler Perry like a minute amount of credit, even though I'm about to undercut it here in just a moment, Tim coming out, no one freaks out, no one's like, what the fuck, or says anything hateful or anything like that. Like, even Madea just kind of goes like, yeah, we knew, man, like, cool, like, good for you. And for half a second this movie I went, oh my god, an actual character choice that doesn't piss me off. But then it's immediately undercut later on in the film because we find out that Davi doesn't want to go ahead and be Tim's lover. Davi is fucking Tim's mom, who's played by Gabrielle Dennis, who plays Laura. And I just went, really? Movie? This is what we're doing? We couldn't even have a gay couple. You just had to go. What is the most soap opera fucking element I could throw in here? Oh, let's have Davi fucking Tim's mom. And I'd like to point out, too, Madea even talks to Tim later on in the movie, like, you never, suspected this or put two and two together. Davi apparently has been talking to Tim about his mom for months. And the fact that Tim, who's going to school to be a lawyer, who graduated with his law degree, by the way, the fact that he couldn't put that shit together, the film even makes a joke about it. But the issue is, Tim has no character development because everything is just happening to him, not because of him. And so he's supposed to be the one going on this hero's journey, and it's all him reacting to shit. Nothing's happening because of him. It's all because he just happens to be there and he's having to react. And it leads to just a hollow hero's journey for the character in general. And I'm just sitting here going, why should I fucking care about this dude? And the answer is you shouldn't. So it's one of these things that I sat back and I just went, wow, there's no reason for me to care about this dude. Now I need to move on to the thing that's Brendan O'Carroll plays Agnes Brown. So I was not familiar who the fuck Agnes Brown was, but Agnes Brown is this character that Brendan O'Carroll created, who named Mrs. Brown, who is basically like the white English Madea. Mrs. Brown debuted back in 2002 in this show called Mrs. Brown's Boys, the original series. So this has been a fucking thing since '02. And so it's a white Irish Madea, which is something I went, wow, I definitely didn't want this shit. And so then we get these scenes of them playing off each other and, oh, look, what's her name? Agnes is she's so fucking high. She's had too much weed. Oh, hilarity ensues. And I'm sitting here going, why? And none of the stuff that she does is funny. The first introduction we get to her, she knocks on Medea's door and goes, Wakanda forever. And I just went, wow, fuck you. Fuck this movie. And that's only, I think, 25 minutes in. It's not even at the 40-minute mark that she shows up. But there's just all this dumb humor of her. There's a point where she talks about her knickers, and Joe just freaks out. It's like, you said niggers. We're not niggers. You're not going to call us niggers around our house. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting here going, make this stop, make this stop, make this stop. The thing that is so maddening about this movie is that it's something that's been a constant problem in all Tyler Perry's films. He apparently has killed his editor or just doesn't hire an editor. I don't know what it is, but his scenes, they never cut. Even with something you could maybe argue, that was kind of like a chuckle, worth a chuckle. The scene goes on and on and on. That scene that I'm referring to with the knickers, that scene goes on for like 5 fucking minutes after the initial knickers line. It's just these black folks yelling at her about, oh my God, you call us niggas. We're not niggas. And I'm sitting here going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because again, anyone who hired a fucking editor would know, hey, maybe cut that shit. Oh, I don't know. Let me look at my watch. 3 minutes ago, it's this Judd Apatow like direction as far as just letting scenes play out. But even Apatow doesn't let this shit play out this long, which that's a credit to fucking him. Apatow at least sometimes knows when to fucking cut a scene. But this film, the film easily could have been 90 minutes. There's no reason this shit should even be like, I think it's an hour 45. But so much of the humor is bad fish out of water humor like that. That's so racially based. So I'm a big Chris Rock fan. I hate him for being a nobody's fool. I really hate Chris Rock for that. If I ever meet him, I'm going to call him on that shit. But one of my favorite Chris Rock's bits is from Bring the Pain, which was back in 94, 95. And he talks about there being 2 types of black people. There's black people and there's niggers, right? That's the whole bit. And niggers have got to go. Michael Scott gets in trouble for that in season 1 of The Office. But it's that bit that I just think it's fucking brilliant. And Tyler Perry is okay with playing to one of those two groups. I'll let you guess which one it is. But at the end of the day, this is schlock. This is uninspired, bland, eye-rollingly bad content, eye-rollingly bad dialogue. Tyler Perry has the nerve to have a character in here, and I don't have the character's name. It doesn't fucking matter. I think it's Ellie, but she's a cop, and so they of course have to do the whole Black Lives Matter thing in here, and so they have the fucking gall to have Joe. His car alarm goes off, and Joe's talking to Ellie about, well, you're a police officer. How dare you show up at our house wearing that uniform, driving that car? And, Ellie has the nerve to go, not all cops are bad, but she at no fucking point brings up the fact, oh, cops are shooting unarmed black people. Like, that probably, shouldn't be a fucking thing that happens. And so Tyler Perry has the balls to go, well... has the balls to go, oh my God, how dare those black people burn down those neighborhoods and all that. At no point actually talking about why black people are burning down those neighborhoods. Just completely misses the BLM aspect. And then plays up Black Lives Matter at the fucking joke, because Joe is the one who is, quote, woke about BLM. But then they go out to dinner at Red Lobster, and they're very specific to say it's Red Lobster. They even show the fucking dishes, and it's like, oh my god, this is where you're going for dinner, because, you know, you want to take advantage of this fucking advertising like the whore you are. But that's a whole sequence in the film where they go ahead and go, well, look, we're at Red Lobster. Oh, look, Joe's wearing Black Lives Matter shirt. But it's played up as a fucking joke. And it's one of those things where I go, why are you joking about this? If you have nothing to fucking say, then fucking don't say anything. And it's one of, so speaking of that, if you remember, I can't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago, when Tyler Perry accepted that award, and it might have been the Oscars, I can't really remember, but you know, he had that whole speech about, you know, I refuse to hate someone because they're Mexican or black or white or LGBTQ. I refuse to hate someone because they're a police officer. And I remember watching that speech going, okay, so you just mentioned races and LGBTQ, like a group of people who are genuinely targeted and have been targeted by police officers, and you have the nerve to go, oh, well, I'm not going to hate police officers. You have a fucking platform, and this has been my axe to grind, or one of them, to grind with Perry, since the beginning. Tyler Perry has a platform. I understand he does humanitarian work. I understand that he gives, you know, like, meals out to homeless people and all that. Like, I understand he does these things. But what is reaching people the most are his films. And I'm sorry, he's writing, producing, and directing the shit. So that whole aspect of, well, we got to respect his hustle. No, we don't. Because at the end of the day, the content is what matters. Not how he got there, what he is putting out. And what he's putting out is stereotypical bullshit. And at the end of the day, he doesn't care. He doesn't want to change because he has no incentive to change. Because his followers will follow him blindly. And trust me when I say blindly. I had someone on my friends list who has been blocked and removed, by the fucking way, who had the nerve to go, Tyler Perry's fine, so you need to calm down. To anyone who has that opinion, A, shut up, and B, go back and watch Acrimony. Go back and watch The Family That Prays. Anytime there's a woman of color, they are abused, they are thought of as less than. And it's not until a man pushes them or gives them the spark to go ahead and stand up for themselves. Why can't the woman do that for herself? Why does a woman need a man to find her self-worth? But these films don't fucking care about that. And at some point, we actually need to call him on that and not just get swept up in the fact that he had this incredible journey. And it's really one of these things that pisses me off. I've had him on the show before, Canada, Bradley. And I love Bradley to death, but he was one of those people going, dude, come on, it's hustle. Like, we need to go ahead and, like, celebrate that. And I'm sorry, y'all. Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Oh my god, when did that come out? That was 2005. It's been almost 20 years. I'm done celebrating his hustle. We need to ask now what the fuck he's doing with his opportunity. And the answer is a whole lot of fucking nothing. And that is the shit that just drives me absolutely fucking insane. The last thing I'm going to bring up, because I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. I'm kind of over it. Madea goes ahead and gives us her origin story about how her partner cheated on her with a woman named Rosa. And as soon as they said it, I went, oh no, they're shooting this in black and white. Oh god, she's not gonna have the fucking gall to say Rosa Parks was fucking her man, and that's why she stayed on the bus, because she was scared of her. And that is exactly 100% to the fucking letter what Madea tells her Laura, the mom, who's fucking her best friend, or her son's best friend, by the way. It makes no sense. It's fucking insulting. And I just sat back and went, why am I surprised at this point? Because, look, I don't know what's below the low road, but whatever that road is, Tyler Perry will always take it. Because Tyler Perry can't help himself. I think Tyler Perry, at this point, he really is the black Michael Bay without being self-aware of how shitty his stuff can be. Because say what you will about Michael Bay will fully admit that he just wants to make things go boom boom. He wants to go ahead and have, girls in short skirts and, their titties popping out. That's all Michael Bay really wants at the end of the day. Tyler Perry, if he just came out and said, I don't care what I'm making, hallelujah, all I want to do is make buffoonish coonishness. If he came out and said that, I could at least respect that. But no, Tyler Perry wants to go ahead and have his cake and eat it too. He wants to go ahead and produce all this shit under the guise of it being inspirational. And that's the thing that pisses me off the most. It's like, for fuck's sake, there's a point where Davi gets down on one knee to propose to Laura again because she shoots his ass down the first time. And without missing a beat, fucking, what's her name? Fucking Agnes, Mrs. Brown, when Davi drops to his knee to propose again, goes, this is no time for Black Lives Matter. Literally verbatim says, this is no time for Black Lives Matter. And at the end of the day, honestly, Tyler Perry, just come out and say that. Just say you don't give a fuck about Black Lives Matter. I would hate him even more. But I can at least respect him for, saying his opinion just straight up. But no, he has to try to hide it through this bullshit movie. And I'm getting my final thoughts. I'm over talking about this shit. This movie sucks. It's dumb. No one should watch it. Go fuck yourself. Thank you. Bye. I'm done. I'm so over this dude. And if I ever get a chance to meet him, which God help him if I ever get to, it's going to be a very unpleasant conversation for him because I'm over this. These are getting worse. And for as much as Tyler Perry and as much as people, because I right hear people going, well, he's giving black people work. Come on, why are you so upset? He's not, though. Because at the end of the day, writer, producer, director, star, all Tyler Perry. He rarely lets anyone else star in his own shit. He doesn't have anyone else in his writing room. He has a show called Sisters on BET+. Does he have a black woman in the writing room? No, it's all him because he's an asshole. And I don't understand how people cannot wrap their heads around the fact that he just fucking sucks. Can we all just admit it? Can we just move on? Look, sometimes we anoint people and we end up being wrong. It happens. Look, I get it. I know people want to get behind Tyler Perry because of his story. But again, we're almost 20 years into him being a director and he has shown minimal improvement. I didn't laugh in this movie once. Okay, the one laugh I did get is Mr. Brown being on fire because I just hate fucking Mr. Brown. I really do hate Mr. Brown. But that laugh was immediately wiped away in the next scene because there's no aftermath or consequences for him running around on fire. I'm just like, really? This makes no sense. So go fuck yourself. I'm done. I fuck you, Tyler Perry, you asshole, making this shit. Ugh. Anyways, I'm not even gonna ask if you've seen Madea Homecoming. There's no reason to watch. Oh, that's the last thing I'll bring up. So this movie, what's his name? Tim gets through the graduation, right? Who cares? He goes ahead and graduates. So everyone's like, oh my God, you graduated. Woo! Everyone's so happy. And then Medea's like, oh man, I'm high. And Medea's sitting on a bench watching him graduate. And Madea passes out. And Madea goes into this dream sequence where she just starts reenacting Beyonce's Homecoming, that Netflix movie. So she's singing Drunken Love and shit, dressed in a blonde wig and in a cheerleading outfit like Beyonce. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, why are we doing this? And that's how the movie ends. So the movie doesn't really have an ending. He graduates and then we just go into this dream sequence. It's the laziest transition. One of the laziest transitions I've ever seen in a film because there is no actual real setup. Madea just goes, oh man, I'm high. Oh, I've been high this whole time. Hallelujah. Passes out. Oh, we're in Beyonce world now. I'm going to stop before I say something. I really hate Tyler Perry. I hate that this movie exists. And let me be clear, because as I mentioned 3 years ago that Madea would be back, these films are not ending anytime soon. Tyler Perry said in an interview, like, "Oh, I'm so ready to pass the wig off in the dress off." The fuck you are. This movie, I'm sure, is getting a lot of views, unfortunately, and yeah, Tyler Perry will milk this cow until it is utterly ridiculous, and we're way past that point. It doesn't matter. Tyler Perry doesn't care about quality. It's all about quantity. Yeah, fuck Tyler Perry. Fuck this movie. Fuck anyone who likes it. Yeah, so we've got reviews coming up for Turning Red, the new Disney Pixar movie, or the new Pixar film, which I am excited about. It cannot be worse than this. It'll be way better than this. And then we'll have reviews come up for the Batman as well, which will be up this weekend, as well as my best and worst of. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can follow Scott on Twitter at NearmanTheFirst. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on SoundCloud, Apple and Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Amazon Music at The Real Pineapple. And you can find me on Letterboxd at Black Shazam, and on TikTok at Black Shazam775. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us most places you listen to podcasts: SoundCloud, Apple and Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher and iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, and TuneUp, to name a few spots, at The Real Pineapple. Everyone, thank you again so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support. As I mentioned, we will be on hiatus starting on the 7th of this month. So we will I'll have some all reviews for the best picture nominees, kind of scattering out throughout the month just to keep y'all, give y'all a little something while I'm on break. But everyone, please stay safe out there. Take care of each other. Wear your mask. Get your COVID shot. And sending thoughts and prayers and love to everyone over in the Ukraine. Please stay safe out there. We're with you. We support you. And we love you. We'll talk to you soon.